Yeah, it's a challenge. I would say that for us international workers, one of the most difficult things, issues that we face, is in terms of raising our children overseas. We have 3 kids, 13, 10, and 5. When we first came to Thailand 10 years ago, we had a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old, and so actually, is what's interesting is in my family alone, I'm the only one in my family where Canada is the home country, is my home country. Because my wife, I married an MK. She was born in Vietnam and raised up between there and the Philippines and Malaysia. My kids have lived longer in Thailand than they have in Canada. And so for my family, Canada is a foreign country. You know, Thailand is home to them. And so when we come back to Canada, I'm the one that seems to kiss the ground when I get off the plane. But the rest of my family is kind of counting the days and waiting till when they can kind of go back to home, back to Thailand. So for my kids, Thailand is what they know best. And in terms of raising them overseas, it's a very different thing, raising your kids overseas and back in North America. I remember our first term, we were living in Bangkok, just on the other side of the river, kind of more on the edge of town, right next to a swamp is where we live. So you run into all these different child rearing things. You raise your children a lot differently overseas than you would in Canada. But by God's grace, He gives you wisdom to be able to do that. And even when you're in areas that you don't have contact with other Westerners, because we love to get advice from other parents. You know, how are you dealing with this, or how do you do this with your kids? And so one of the challenges you face is sometimes you're in areas that you don't have that kind of communication with other parents to learn how to raise your kids. But schooling is a huge issue that a lot of missionaries face. For my wife, she went to a boarding school when she was younger, and if you were to ask her, actually, she loved it. She's perhaps one of those unique MKs that when she was younger, when she grew up, she wanted to be able to send her kids. When she grew up, she wanted to become a missionary, an international worker, just so that she could send her kids to boarding school, because it was such a phenomenal influence on her life that she wanted her kids to have the same kind of rich experience in being a part of that. And so for us, you know, living in Thailand, that was a real issue. So after we were in Bangkok, we were preparing our kids to send them to Malaysia, to boarding school there. But God worked it out in such a way that He sent us to Chiang Mai our second term, and there happened to be an international school there, right, for our kids. And so it was just wonderful. At this school, the CMA was one of, I believe, 5 or 6 groups that got together to form a school, because there are international schools in our country, but they cost so much to send students there. We couldn't afford to send them on our salary, nor could the global ministries afford to send our kids there. So a lot of these mission groups got together and said, you know, we need to have a school to help prepare our kids to go back to their home countries that is affordable for missionaries. And so God blessed us with this school where our kids are attending, and so we get to have them at home with us at least a few more years. We're in this city for at least the next year and a half, and then we'll see after that where God would have us. If we move to the northeast part of the country, then the boarding school might become an option. Homeschooling is an option that many international workers take advantage of, and that's changed a lot since the day when we first went out. It was, you know, you had to sign on the dotted line and be prepared to send your kids to boarding school if that was the option that was available to them. But now things have changed so much, and a lot more international workers are homeschooling kids, where there isn't a local school as an option. So for us, we're thankful that we're in a place where there is an international school for our kids, and they get to be at home with us at least for a little while longer. And so that's